What is going on, everybody? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and welcome in, because I am your host to the Fantasy Football 2019 Awards show. I'm going to go through multiple awards here and tell you guys why the person deserves to win those awards. We are going to go through a whole season of 2019. We're going to laugh, we're going to cry a bit, so you guys need to make sure you are buckled in for this video. This award show is going to be great. So pause the video, go get some popcorn, go get some snacks, and get ready to laugh and maybe cry a bit all about this Fantasy Football 2019 season. So let's get right into the video. The Fantasy Football 2019 award show hosted by yours truly. Let's get right into it. The first award is the Holdout Player of the Year. Now, there are only two nominees because there are only two guys that really held out this season. That was Ezekiel Elliott and Melvin Gordon. Both of those guys during the offseason were talking about just hiding. They were sitting in Mexico. They were sitting wherever the fuck they wanted, not on the practice field. Now, one of these players ended up actually playing and playing well. The other one ended up shitting the bed big time for your fantasy team. So, the Holdout Player of the Year, the player who would rather sit on the beach than play for your fantasy football team, is Ezekiel Elliott. Now, obviously, if we're basing this award off of who fucked you without the use of any lube and maybe some sand because he was on the beach, is Melvin Gordon. But the way this works, the best player who decided to sit out was Ezekiel Elliott. He decided to come back week one and not fuck you, reverse cow no more. He was not going to just absolutely dick you down. He was going to actually play in the games this season. So Ezekiel Elliott, you are the winner of your award, the Holdout Player of the Year, the Beach Bum Player of the Year. If you would like to, obviously, get this award, hit me up on Twitter and give me a fucking congratulations on there. I will, and just congratulate yourself for winning that award because it is amazing for you. Melvin Gordon just wasn't that good, so it was pretty obvious that Ezekiel Elliott was going to win this one. But now on to a real award and a big award. We got the Bust Player of the Year. The guy on draft day, you had him circled, you had him highlighted, you're like, damn, I want to get this player at this draft position. You know what they did? They fucked you repeatedly. They did not do anything for you this year, and you are very disappointed in them when the year came to an end. The first player is David Johnson. His ADP was 1.06 in 12-team PPR leagues. Second player, Le'Veon Bell, 1.08. Third player, Odell Beckham Jr., 112. Fourth player, Juju Boo Smith-Schuster is what Antonio Brown called him, better known as Juju Smith-Schuster, the 202. And the final nominee, Patrick Showtime Mahomes, the 2.08 pick in the draft. And your winner of the 2019 Bust of the Year award is none other but Odell Baby Back Bitch Beckham. Was projected to be a top 8 wide receiver finisher this year in fantasy football. Some people had him in their top 5. Some people had him as their number 1 wide receiver, and he did not do shit at all. You drafted him in the first round, and he did not return that value at all. He finishes wide receiver number 25 on the year. He had 20 plus points 2 times in PPR this year. That is embarrassing. 7 games under 11 points. That is pretty much half of the games this year. He was under 11 total points. This was his worst fantasy football season ever in the NFL besides 2017 where he only played 4 games. So you could just toss that one out. This was by far his worst season. He was crying on the sideline, acting a fool, telling Jimmy Garoppolo, the opposing quarterback, any opposing quarterback, hey, come get me. Fuck you, Odell Beckham. You were the biggest bust of the year. In my opinion, no one even came close to you because of how bad you befuddled us. You swindled all of us fantasy owners. Next award here, we got the Rookie of the Year, the ROTY. And this one was a very tough one to choose, but we have our nominees here. Number 1, we have Joshua Jacobs of the Oakland Raiders. Next player here, we have Miles Sanders, Philadelphia Eagles, a running back. The third player nominated is A.J. Brown, wide receiver of the Tennessee Titans. Wide receiver number 4, or nominee number 4, Terry Scary McLaurin of the Washington Redskins. And the final nominee is Decaf Metcalf of the Seattle Seattle Seahawks. Now, this one was a close race. There were two players here that I really thought deserved the award, but we're not the NFL awards. We're not going to split this in half like what they gave Dak and Zeke the Rookie of the Year award. Fuck that. We're going to give it to one man and one man only, and that is the man who helped you win your fantasy football playoffs, and his name is A.J. Brown. Tennessee Titans wide receiver. Finished wide receiver 21 on the year and was drafted in very few leagues. If you guys notice that number, Odell Beckham, wide receiver 25. A.J. Brown, some no-name rookie out of Ole Miss, wide receiver 21, finishes above him, 13.6 PPR points per game, 5 games, over 20 points, and he really turned it on at the second half of the season. When you needed him most, A.J. Brown was there. Now, it was close between Josh Jacobs and A.J. Brown. But like I said, A.J. Brown was there in the playoffs. Josh Jacobs was a bit hurt in the playoffs. Obviously, not to hurt A.J. Brown, not to hurt Josh Jacobs. He played a great season, but at the end of the day, I think A.J. Brown deserves this award. The next award here is the Comeback Player of the Year. The guy who got hurt last year. The guy who was shit last year. The guy who was shit his whole career and ended up coming back and winning this award. That is what the basis of this award is. Nominee number 1, we have wide receiver of the Miami Dolphins, Devontae Parker. The next nominee, we have Cooper Kupp, LA Rams, wide receiver. The third nominee is Dalvin Cook, Minnesota Vikings, running back. And the fourth and final nominee, we have Leonard Fournette, running back of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this one was a very close race. But really, not really, because there was one guy here that stood out as just being someone who just is a injury-prone motherfucker who came back and decided to win this award for you this year, and his name is Dalvin Cook. Despite seeming like the most injury-prone player in the goddamn draft, maybe Todd Gurley you might consider, came back huge this year. In 2017, he played 4 games. In 2018, 11 games. And in 2019, he pretty much played as many games as his first 2 years in the NFL combined with 14 games. He finished as a top 10 running back number 6 on the year, 292.4 PPR points, which equivalates to 20.9 points per game. He had 7 of 14 games over 20 points. That is half of his games were over 20 points, and 3 of those games were over 28 plus points. So huge congratulations for Dalvin Cook for coming back, for proving us wrong about his injury. Next year, I will stay away from him because he's an injury-prone hack, but that is okay. Dalvin Cook, congratulations for your award. The next award here, we have the Draft Day Steal of the Year. You saw this guy in your draft. He was in, like, say, the middle to the late parts of the draft, and you stole him, and he is the reason why you hoisted that fantasy football championship. Coming in at number 1, we have Courtland Sutton, Denver Broncos, wide receiver. Coming in at number 2, we have Austin Big Man Eckler, LA Superchargers running back. Coming in at number 3, we have Devontae Parker, not Minnesota, wide receiver, Miami Dolphins. Coming in number 4, we have Lamar Jackson. You all know who the fuck that man is. Quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. And the last nominee, we have Mark Andrews, tight end of the Baltimore Ravens. This award was actually pretty close. There are a couple of guys here that I believe are deserving of this award. Actually, pretty much all of these guys are deserving of this award. But only one man can have it, and his name is Austin Eckler. Big congratulations to Austin Eckler for winning this award. Now, obviously, I know you might be in the comments thinking, Nick, why didn't you pick Lamar Jackson? He was the best player in fantasy all year, number 1 in points. Because at the end of the day, you could have found a guy like Josh Allen, Dakota Prescott, and a bunch of other quarterbacks that could have won you your fantasy league. You want to know who's not going to win you a fantasy league? Some random running back you drafted in the 6th or 7th round. And Austin Eckler went out and finished as a top 5 running back on the year, finished as running back number 4. Behind Melvin Gordon, after Melvin Gordon decided to return from the beach, he came back and played strong even then. 7 of 16 games, scoring over 20 plus PPR points. He filled in nicely for Melvin Gordon, and once Melvin Gordon returned, like I said, he still played amazingly. I think over the whole season, it would be considered that he played pretty strong. He started very strong and finished good. Obviously, not as good of an ending as the start, but I still think that Austin Eckler was very deserving of this award. The next award here, we got the Cry Baby of the year. The baby back bitch of the year. The guy that you drafted and was just crying all season, being a bitch, not doing anything for your fantasy team. And the two nominees are no other than Antonio Clown and Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I spent hours looking to see who cried more, who was being much more of a little baby. But at the end of the day, we came out with the results of the winner by knockout, Antonio Brown. One game started in the NFL this year. 4 receptions, 58 yards, 1 touchdown, over 1,000 Twitter arguments, 2 terrible songs released, and he played on not 1, but 2 NFL teams, and he was cut by both of them. The Oakland Raiders said, get the fuck out of here, and then Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, who was getting the tug in the bathroom, said, get the fuck out of here as well. Antonio Brown certifiably gave you the reach around, and actually he didn't even have the common courtesy to give you a reach around. He just fucked you right in the ass, and you had no enjoyment out of it. Antonio Brown was crying all year on Twitter. As Drake would say, he's got them Twitter fingers. He was typing all year about Juju, all year about all these other players, and at the end of the day, he did not perform. He was on Twitter crying. Well, I believe my Miami Dolphins should pick him up and use him. I don't give a fuck what happens to him on Twitter. I believe he is a great player, but he definitely is deserving of the crybaby player of the year. The next award here, we got the waiver wire goat of the year. We got A.J. Brown as the first nominee from the Tennessee Titans. The number 2 nominee, the New England Deflatriots defense. The number 3 nominee is Ryan Tannehill. The number 4 nominee is Devontae Parker. And the 5th and final nominee is Kenyon Drake. And winner by unanimous decision, Devontae Parker. That motherfucker was nominated for 9,000 awards, so he was bound to win one of them. At the beginning of the season, people thought there's no way it could be Devontae Parker. There's no way any of these Miami receivers get it done. And Devontae Parker came out there and balled out. He was a guy you were going to be able to pick up for multiple weeks in a row because no one believed in Devontae Parker, and he finished strong. Kenyon Drake, I'm not sure if he's actually really a waiver wire guy because a lot of people had him on their team, but some people cut him, so that's why he was on the list. But Devontae Parker is deserving of this award. He had 15.4 PPR points per game this season, but that does not tell the tale of the dominance by Devontae Parker this season. Devontae Parker was absolutely clapping cheeks down towards the end of the season. 5 games with 20 plus PPR points. He was a playoff winner, a Patriots slayer, and he is Ryan Fitzmagic's best friend. Huge round of applause for Devontae Parker for putting up a big season when no one else thought it would be possible for big man Devontae Parker. Next award here, and the second to final award, we have the regular season most valuable player. Nominee number 1, Run CMC Christian McCaffrey. Number 2, Michael Thomas. Number 3, Lamar Jackson. Number 4, Derrick Henry. And number 5, Aaron Jones. And winner by unanimous decision, by everyone's decision, this motherfucker is the greatest of all time fantasy football player aside from LT. A bunch of years ago, Peyton Manning, a couple of goats. But that is very easy. It is Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey was absolutely butt-fucking defenses all year. He was destroying. He was the RB1 on the year. He should have been your first pick. If you drafted Saquon like me, you're probably crying yourself to sleep every single night because of how much dominance Christian McCaffrey had all season. Running back number 1 on the year, 471.2 total PPR points, 29.4 PPR points per game, pretty much 30 aside from that one game where he scored 7 points. If he had scored like 10 points, 30 fucking points per game, 2 games below 20 points, an overall amazing year from Christian McCaffrey. He is so easily the fantasy football MVP. I don't know why you would even argue that it could be anyone else. And now on to the final award of the year. I know, guys, you had a great time today watching this award show, so if you have enjoyed, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. We have the playoff MVP. This is the guy that when you got into the playoffs, he came in strong. He may not have done a lot all year, but he came in strong at the end, and he decided to give the fantasy football championship gods a win for your fantasy football team. The number 1 nominee here is Christian McCaffrey. Number 2, we have Saquon Barkley. Number 3, Kenyon Drake. Nominee number 4, Lamar Jackson. And nominee number 5, my man, the W Eater, the Crab Stealer, famous Jameis Winston. Drum roll, please. And the playoff MVP winner of the year is Christian McCaffrey. That motherfucker took home 2 awards in this video. I know Saquon Barkley kind of played just as well as him, but it does not fucking matter. Christian McCaffrey was the MVP in the regular season, and he was also the playoff MVP. There was no one around him all year. Cam Newton, dead. His wide receiver core, dead. His coach, fired. It does not fucking matter. Christian McCaffrey went out there and balled at weeks 14 through 16, your playoff weeks, 94.3 PPR points. He dominated and carried your fantasy football team. I believe he is the MVP of the regular season and of the postseason. So thank you guys all for watching this award show. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you have any comments, any concerns, anything about the fact that you think one of your favorite players got fucking screwed over and didn't win an award, then go ahead and leave some comments down below. I love reading every single one of them. Check out my sponsor, OverlayDFS.com. And next year, the award show is going to be great. I'm going to be wearing a tux. I'm going to be wearing everything. You know, it's going to be a great production this year, a much more shitty production, but that's okay, and that is all right. I love each and every single one of you guys. A huge shout out to all of these players that won these awards, except for the Bust and the Baby Back Bitch Award. Fuck those guys. Thank you all for watching. If any of those players you are watching, you may know, somehow you know Odell Beckham, make sure to send this to him. Make sure he knows that he is the fucking Bust of the year. I love each and every single one of you guys. Make sure to have a blessed rest of your day. I will see you guys back yet again with some more videos later in the week. Goodbye, my friends.